How's it going, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for coming on a Monday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me.
What part of the country are you in?
I'm in Irvine right now.
Oh, what? Really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
dope, man.
Right around the corner from John Wayne.
Are you from SoCal originally?
Yeah, I would say so. That's kind of my home base. I'm a military kid. My dad was in the Air Force, so I was born overseas. Went to elementary overseas in Japan, but uh, SoCal's always been home base.
Yeah. So are you still playing now or are you post-career?
I'm post career. I mean, I'm still in the gym, a couple little Tuesday night leagues, but I'm done playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So welcome to the Millionaire Podcast, Charles Oakley, Time Millionaire. We are doing a really cool series talking to professional athletes and former professional athletes, just to kind of, get this conversation going, get some interesting people on here who have done some really cool things, experienced some really cool things, and hopefully you guys get some value out of this conversation. With us today, we have the brother Lawrence Tyson, rather. I'm sorry about that. It
Yes,
could be
sir. Yes,
Lawrence,
sir.
LT. Lawrence
LT.
Tyson, former basketball player, right?
Yep.
Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit more about you and your background?
Yeah, definitely. So I went to high school in North LA County in a city called Lancaster, a couple hours north of LA. Played 4 years of basketball there. From there, I got a scholarship to Cal State Northridge, where I played 2 years. Ended up leaving Northridge, finishing my collegiate career at Cal State San Bernardino.
Yeah.
Played my last 2 years there. And then from there, was blessed enough to play the next 7 years in various countries overseas.
Yeah. It's interesting. I went to Cal State San Bernardino. So when I saw that come through, I was like, it's not that many people who went to Cal State.
That's a trip.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
that's true. That's true. That's what's up.
What year did you finish there?
2010.
2010. Okay. I was done in 2009. So
Oh
probably
man,
on
we probably
campus
crossed
around the same
paths.
time. But
Yeah,
one thing that's interesting about the basketball players at Cal State is they kind of have their own little thing going on.
true.
Sometimes they kind of mingle amongst the other two, but they kind of stay to themselves. I'm sure you know, like Corey. You probably know Jordan too. I think his last name is
Yeah.
Richardson.
Yep. Jordan Richardson. I know Corey Caston. I play with both of
Yeah.
those guys. Yep.
Yeah, Jordan actually gets. I ran into him at my barbershop. I live in Ontario, so we're not too far
Okay.
from each other. But that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
When did you know that you were going to be playing basketball at the next level?
So when did I actually have a contract, or when did I set it in my mind?
Like, when did you kind of see that in the stars for you? Like,
I
were
knew
you
I knew as a
always like
kid.
in high
Yeah.
school? You were like on top, and the kids you're on top because you can identify talent early on.
True, true. So I showed sparks as a kid. Like there would be some years where I was definitely, the best player on the floor. There'd be other years where I played up in AAU, and so I was at the bottom of the food chain. My dad did that purposely for a few years growing up, but ultimately, I knew since middle school I wanted to be a professional athlete.
That's dope. That's smart
Yeah,
to put you in an environment where everybody else is bigger than you to help you improve.
absolutely. And then you come back to school season, and you see a difference.
That's dope. I never thought
Yeah.
about that. Um, so what was life like growing up outside of basketball?
For me, it was extremely structured and disciplined, traveling overseas. So I was born in Germany. My dad was stationed there. I left there before my first birthday. Um, Ended up doing first through fifth grade in Japan, mostly in Okinawa, a small island off Japan's coast. So for me, it was like, you know, very disciplined. We always had a plan. There was always something to do. My parents put me in every sport possible. Um, there was a big stress from my mom in regards to academics. So I took school seriously. Wake up at 6 a.m., make your bed, do your push-ups. Like that type of structure is what I grew up with.
And that's probably because your dad was in the military too.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that having parents who are in the military is an advantage. And family members who are in the military. And I always tell people, like, a lot of the reasons why I am the way I am and the reason why I think the way I think is because my dad was in the Navy, my grandfather was in the Navy. And so it's like you have this lineage of people who just like, there's certain things that are required of you when you're in the military. Like, you got to be sharp, you got to be clean, you got to be on time. All these things that people who just had, maybe people who were just living, I guess, they didn't get. So they kind of take it for granted.
Very true. Very true. I just remember being a kid and, like, you know, my friends would they would kind of laugh at me because I wouldn't leave the house until I had my bed made. And they're like, "You don't get in your bed again. Like, what does it matter?" You know, it's just small little things like that that I remember growing up, and I look back at now and it's like, yeah, they made a difference in how I move as an adult.
So when you decided to go pro, what did that look like for you?
When I decided to go pro, so I was what you call a D1 bounce back, which was what San Bernardino recruited. And I think that speaks to that bubble that you have.
Say it again, it's called a what again?
A D1 bounce back. So you start your collegiate career at a Division I, and then you end up going D2 or D3 and finishing there, right? So our whole team was made up of D1 bounce backs, 1 through, I think, 10 of the 12 of us. Jordan was one of the few who came there as a freshman, right? So for me, I played on a team where we all averaged somewhere between the starting 5 averaged between 10 and 15 points a game. I wasn't an All-American. I didn't have the greatest accolades, and I wasn't the biggest or fastest kid either. So for me, my decision was really just me betting on myself. No one else saw that as a possibility in my future. And I asked my coaches before, you know, my senior year, "You think I could play pro?" And they're like, "Probably not, LT, you know. You got to get an agent and you got to do this and you got to do that," just all the barriers. So for me, it was just a decision in my mind that I'm going to make this happen. I had a couple of other guys in my corner that played with me as well, who are my brothers at this point in life. And we all made this decision together. So we seek the best trainers that we could find and pay for and put our 10,000 hours in.
That's dope. It's dope because you didn't let them stop you. You kind of let them motivate you.
That's exactly what it turned into. Yeah.
And so what is that process like? Because I mean, we're all kind of familiar with how you go, like we see how like people go to the NBA. I mean, honestly, we don't really know that either, because I've been watching a lot of pro sports, and a lot of those dudes on those like NFL teams weren't drafted guys. True. They were just guys who like finished college and they had talent. And so I don't know how you do that stuff, but they ended up playing on teams. Like most of the NFL is not drafted guys.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
So for like the NBA or for the league that you went into, these guys are all overseas. So like, how are you making those contacts? How are you getting eyeballs on you?
Yeah, so basically making a pro player profile, right? It's basically a resume, an athletic resume. Adding film to that recent.
Or it's a document or is it a video?
It was a combination. So at that time, it was like, you know, a PDF basically, and then YouTube links, clickable links in the PDF that led to my highlight tapes, right? So I was sending that off to every GM, every agent, even players, you know, that maybe felt like if they saw me and like, yo, they could push the issue to their GM or their coach. So I was just sending that to everybody. Staying in Southern California is a big hub. It's for basketball, right? It's a big basketball community. People get contracts out of the Drew League, another league called the JBL in North Hollywood. We played in a lot of that. And then in addition, it was pretty much training against all your D1. So in the springtime, your UCRs, Long Beach States, USC, UCLA, they'd have their open runs. So that was an opportunity for us to get in there and get seen by other people too.
Interesting. What position did you play?
Combo guard, point guard, shooting guard. I've been able to score my whole life, but I'm not 6'7", I'm 6'2", so I had to adapt to a point guard role too.
Yeah, if you were taller, then you could have played forward.
Right.
Is that how that works?
Yeah. So, you get small forward, power forward, the taller you get, bigger you get. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the first year, what did that look like?
Okay. So my first year overseas, first of all, this process was crazy because the year we came out of school, the NBA lockout happened. So the availability of jobs overseas decreased. It was hard for us.
Yeah, because the NBA players are going overseas.
Exactly. Yeah.
Didn't K
They
do
took
something?
that.
I think KD went and played overseas or something like that. Something happened. I'm sure players are
Maybe
going over there
so.
playing.
Yeah. It was a few big names that went over there to play. And then, they also started popping up at Drew Leagues and, things like that. So I got invited to a private workout at Chaffey College, actually. And it was so I was playing in the IBL based out of, the team I was playing for was based out of Portland. We had a couple teams in the Northwest that we played and a few teams in Canada. So that was my first experience crossing the border to play basketball, really. During the same time, I got invited to this private workout at Chaffey College. I went there, ended up basically being the best guard, but they were only looking for one player. So they went with the big man. I went back to Portland, played 2 or 3 games. They called me and said that their guard got injured. So I went in mid-season. It was the middle of the summer, basically, here to Chile in South America, in the middle of their winter. So I played pretty much half a season in their second division, and that's how my career started. I did my thing that half a season, and then I got up to the first division, and then that allowed me to move over to Argentina. So I had, and keep in mind, I didn't have an agent. I was doing all this negotiation. I learned Spanish, and I was negotiating for myself.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's another thing that you learn in the military is resiliency.
absolutely.
And I hear that in your story because it wasn't a clear-cut path to what you were doing. Like it wasn't like, all right, I'm done here. I'm being looked at by these countries. I'm going there. It was like, I'm done here. I'm gonna grind it out. I'm gonna go to camps. I'm gonna do all these different things, get these trainers. But that didn't immediately pan out. Like it's not like you sent out the resume, got the job. You sent
Right.
out the resume, didn't really get the call, but you still found a different door to go through, and that's dope.
I
That's really
appreciate
cool.
that. Yeah. It was, it has its ups and downs, but so it was all happening organically, basically trying to figure it out on the go. But one thing that remained constant was the work. I was in the gym every day. So I knew if I could get in front of the right eyes or get the right opportunity, then things would take care of themselves.
What kind of advice was your dad giving you through all this time?
My pops was like, keep your foot on the gas. There has to be a way. Social media started to grow at this time. So we were just trying to be more creative in how we reach people and building a brand for yourself. But he actually is the one who told me, like, don't go to plan B. Don't even have a plan B. Make it happen. Make it work. Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah,
And so plan B for you would have been like get a job or something.
Yeah. That was plan B. Get a
That's
job,
dope.
wrap it up.
I'm curious. I mean, you're playing basketball, but I'm sure at this time you weren't getting paid for it. How are you able to still survive?
Yeah. So pretty much up until, I went to Chile in South America. That's when I started getting checks. Up until that point, anything I could do, to be honest. I was training kids. That was probably my number one stream. Then that merged into just personal training. So I got performance enhancement certifications, personal training certifications. And I'm telling you, I mean, I clean out offices, walk dogs, I deliver newspapers for a while, like whatever I had to do pretty much coming out of college.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
So you go to Chile. What is that culture shock like for you? Or is there a culture shock? Because I mean, I don't think there's too many like brothers in Chile.
Nah, Nah, not at all. So I went in the middle of winter, which was tough because it was 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So that was just different for me. But as far as the people, everybody was pretty nice and welcoming. We throw a laptop on the table and pull out Google Translate and start to converse and get to know each other. So it was a little bit of a culture shock, but being that I mean, California, there's a lot of Latinos, so it wasn't too hard for me to adjust to being there, which would be kind of like the California of South America. And then as I picked up the language and was able to start like developing relationships, it ended up being one of my favorite places in the world because of the
Mm.
people.
Did they treat you like a celebrity?
Only initially, because I was there for, I mean, I guess if you combine the years I was there, it probably added up to 3.5 years. So after a while, it was more common. But at first, a lot of pictures, a lot of autographs, interviews,
Mm.
things like that, and kind of leveled out.
So I know that foreign money isn't like NBA money, but I'm assuming it's still good money. So
Yeah, it was decent.
as you're bringing in this money, were you thinking of how to manage the money, or were you just kind of living?
Yeah, I was definitely thinking about how to manage because, I mean, my plan was, I wanted $100,000 overseas contract, international contract. So because it wasn't that, I'm like, all right, you gotta really learn how to manage it. Now, the good thing about when you're over there, you're getting per diem. So I wasn't spending any of my money, just using the per diem. And they pay for meals, fill your fridge up every week, things like that. So I didn't
Wow.
really have to, yeah, I didn't have to spend my money. But I knew that, for example, my teammate, he's from New Orleans, right? So his dollar that he's taking back to New Orleans is going to go a lot further than my dollar coming back to SoCal. So it did make me definitely budget and try to plan, you know, the money that I did have and try to use it the best I could.
Were you doing anything to learn how to manage your money, or were you just kind of like maybe taking advice from your parents, just kind of like winging it, doing your best?
I was definitely reading. I was on what I called YouTube University at the time, trying to research as much as possible. I went to school for marketing, which, you'll have a decent amount of business classes, right? So I had my Excel sheet up and I was trying to manage, but it was really, diving into new information for me at that time.
Nice. So, when did you get interested in like business and investing?
That happened while I was overseas. So I didn't have a Netflix account. I didn't take my PlayStation overseas. I spent all of my off time just reading, studying a host of information, but specifically like, what am I going to do when ball stops, or what can I do while it's still going to create another stream of income? So I was
Mm.
attracted to real estate, hearing stories, reading about wholesaling, reading about investing, things like that. So that's really what got me into it about maybe a year or two after I had been overseas.
So, while you were there, were you doing any investing?
So I was doing wholesaling. I basically did two wholesale deals, joint ventures, right? So I pretty much took a cut to learn, and then I had my boy driving around, driving for dollars, basically. So we were trying to implement ourselves into real estate that way while I was still overseas.
Were you doing deals internationally, like you're buying homes in Chile, or you're buying homes in the States?
No, they were in the States. Yeah. So
Okay.
domestic. Yeah.
What market did you choose?
I chose Lancaster, Antelope Valley, California. It was the only one I really knew, and had a decent understanding about, right? So that's where I started. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. After you said you played like 7 or 8 years. So where'd you go after you left Chile?
Argentina,
Right.
Singapore, Hong Kong, mainland China. Um, am I missing anywhere? Yeah, that was it. Besides Canada, yeah, those were the places that I landed.
What was the move like? Like, how are you? Because you're going to different countries, and then a lot of them are across the globe. Like, how are you making
Yeah.
those connections and getting out there that way?
Oh yeah. So I also played in Spain for 1 year. And that connection, I went from Spain to Southeast Asia because of a teammate that played at Cal State San Bernardino, but we never even played the same year. He played 2011, and he happened to be playing in Southeast Asia at the time. And my contract was ending in Spain. So just those connections, supporting other guys who were overseas. There's small, networks. We try to stay in touch. Um, a lot of my teammates from San Bernardino went overseas as well. So just staying in contact with them, continuing to market myself, post videos, post content, reach out to agents, GMs. It was just really networking is what kept me going, honestly. And then every
Makes
time
sense.
I hit the floor, I did my job, So I
It
had
makes a
one
lot of
losing
sense
season, but
because once you get in the space, you're around a bunch of other guys with the same mentality.
right.
And so they're looking for opportunities. They're aware of opportunities. It kind of like the network does the work for you. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah,
As
it
opposed to when you're
does.
at home and nobody's really doing that. And then you get into an environment where everybody is doing that. And it just makes it easier to bounce around. It makes it easier to bounce
Definitely.
around once you're in it as opposed to when you're out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fact.
So, man, that's a lot of different countries. What was your favorite?
Um, Different reasons. I really liked Singapore. Um, it was beautiful, beautiful country, ethnically diverse. So it's a lot of different types of foods. You can take you 45-minute plane to Bali and feel like a king. Not too far from Australia as well. So I really love that place. But for me, Chile has a special place in my heart. A lot of my lifetime friends live there. I got to know a lot of people there. I could literally go there and probably stay for 6 months and not have to get a hotel. So
Hmm.
that's why I love South America, Chile, Argentina area.
What was your least favorite place to play?
My least favorite place was China. Um, I know it's funny to play, not to live, but they were smoking in the arenas at the time I was there. I could not step outside of the hotel without like hundreds of people draping me, so it wasn't easy to move around. And it took me right until maybe my last month there to get used to the food. So
I
that was probably
heard
my least favorite.
I heard Chinese food in China isn't the same as Chinese food in America.
Not at all. It's completely different.
It tastes better in America.
Yeah, it's more to our palate. It's like when you go to McDonald's in a different country, they have a different menu for how they eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is one thing about this whole thing that you didn't expect?
Mm. Um, I didn't hear any horror stories until pretty much I was done with my career after. So I would say um, 1 year not getting paid, like a substantial amount of money halfway through my career was something I definitely did not expect. And then not even having any like the contract we signed really didn't put me in any type of place to be able to sue or get my money.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was
I
a
think one cool, I know for the longest time, the narrative was always like, oh, we have all these people that want to go out there and play sports, but there's not enough sports jobs. But I feel like with the implementation of international ball, there's so many more pro sports jobs. So if you really want to play sports, you can play sports post college. I have
yeah.
a cousin and he was a football player. Well, he is a football player. And he's been playing internationally in like Italy for years, almost a decade. He's been playing. And I remember he went to high school. He was balling in high school. He went to college. He was balling in high school or balling in college. And then he started off playing in like Europe. And to this day, he's still playing in Europe. And I'm pretty sure he's been there for almost a decade. And so it's
Interesting.
interesting that there's more opportunities now for brothers to still take their skills because they are skills. We have a unique talent and athletic ability, but
Hmm.
for the most part, it's been stunted because the world or America has started to kind of like say, oh, well, if you don't go pro NFL, NBA, your talent's useless. If you don't go D1, Ohio State, your talent is useless, when in
Yeah.
actuality, your talent is not useless. There's other opportunities out there that are just international opportunities. And so I think that's dope, because a lot of brothers have been fought who thought sports was their only way. And when it doesn't pan out, either post high school or post college, end up on some bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to go to college to play pro ball internationally? I don't think you do.
No, you don't. Not anymore. You got to be a heck of a player if you don't, though, because one thing they want to see is how you perform against good competition, right? So there are other ways, though. There absolutely are other ways now. And I mean, the radar, we're looking at kids are getting ranked in middle school. So, you do have the opportunity now to go out of high school and go straight overseas. Plenty of kids have done it. So it's not a prerequisite anymore.
What is a common myth about playing internationally that kind of perpetuated? Like, what's a common myth in that space? It's a tough question.
Yeah, that is. I think from the player's perspective, a common myth is that it's easy to go overseas when you get out of college.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as it sounds, and especially, I mean, because I wanted to give that feeling of, well, if LT can do it, then I can do it too. Right. But there's intangibles you have to have about yourself to be able to succeed on that path. So I think that as far as players go, that's definitely a common misconception, that it's just, oh yeah, I'm done. When I'm done playing college, I'm gonna go overseas. Like, people say it so nonchalantly, but
Right.
not as
Like,
easy.
it's not a grind still. You still were grinding, you still were hustling, you still put the work in.
Right. And then just from an overall perspective, sometimes people assume that you're living like an NBA player, and that's not the case. For one, I mean, overseas, I don't know exactly how it is, but I'm sure it's kind of the same. When you get off of a 13, 15-hour flight, you go to the gym and you'll be back on that flight if you don't perform. So yeah, it's either going to be a private workout or they're going to throw you in a game, or a preseason game at least. So
That's
for
crazy.
me, yeah, it was like people get sent home, and then depending on what your resume looks like determines how long or short that leash is. You might get one game to come off and not have a good one, but if you bounce back, you stay. Other teams that can afford it, they go right to the next guy and they'll send you back home the next day.
Wow. So it's relentless
Yeah,
over there.
it is. It is. I mean, you have to be an exceptional player to sign a multi-year contract overseas. Being an American, right? We're normally like, we're a dime a dozen in their eyes. So they'll take you 1 year, and then if you perform, you got room for negotiation. Otherwise, you have to have a strong resume to get, a multi-year contract.
Wow. Did you ever run into Stephon Marbury out there in China?
No, I never did. But he
That's
is the
interesting.
man out there. Yeah, they got a statue for him. He did his thing.
Yeah. What's the biggest challenge that you're facing after playing ball?
So I'm 6 years removed from my career now. So I've been able to pretty much find a balance for myself. But my first couple of years, it was tough. I started working at Loan Depot as a loan officer. 14-hour days. I was living in Pasadena, commuting to OC. So you add a commute onto that, and
That's
it
a
was
mission.
just,
That's
yeah,
a
it was a
mission.
mission. It was a mission. 5 days a week, 2 weekends out the month. So the adjustment from going into a lifestyle where you're pretty much moving at your own freedom. If you think about it, you'll have a team practice 2 hours, individual workouts 1 hour. If you're hitting the weights, that may be another 1 to 2 hours, right? I chose to go to middle schools and talk in their English classes and train the younger kids of the organization. But outside of that, I mean, you have 12 hours a day where you can move at your own freedom. Whereas coming back, now you got rent and or a mortgage, you got to have a car, it's California. So there's already going to be a necessity to make money faster, and you have to get on it. So it was an adjustment for me. Sitting in an office feeling like I'm going crazy the first couple of years was tough.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Man, in terms of like investing or business, what do you have going on these days?
So definitely heavily involved in real estate. Just trying to expand this portfolio. I've started day trading in the futures market about 18 months ago. So definitely just, that skill set. I bought your course for options. So I'm teaching myself that as well from your help, which is dope. Another reason why I was excited to be on this podcast, because I'd already bought your product, I don't know, over a year ago, probably.
It's been some
But
time.
yeah, it has. It has. Leveraging automobiles for the Turo business, right? A couple of cars and trying to expand that portfolio. So I'm trying to take the shack approach, if you will. I still broker home loans. I have my real estate license, but I'm trying to start businesses with my loved ones, my brothers, and scale them up. Whether that's real estate, a car business on Turo, a fleet of cargo vans, ultimately get in the trucking industry. So I'm trying to do that and create more passive streams of income. It's kind of not is exactly what I'm doing right now.
So you said expand the portfolio.
Yeah.
Do you already own rentals?
Yeah, but just one.
Where is that located?
Ohio.
And when did you use some of the money that you're making playing ball to make that acquisition happen?
I did, yeah, I did. And
That's
then
dope.
me and my dad went in on that one, so I was able to do my part.
Did you buy that before you left the league or after you left the league?
That was after, actually. It was after I
Okay.
came back because I just didn't really know. I thought I was going to have to fly out there and look at the home. I didn't really understand until I went through with the deal and realized, I didn't actually have to be there in order to acquire property. So, but before I lack of knowledge, I just waited till I got back.
What led you into investing out of state?
Essentially the down payment, buying a $700,000 duplex in Cali versus $200,000 duplex in the Midwest was really what it was.
Yep, that's the same thought I have. And so you guys manage it all like a property manager, you guys self-manage?
Property management.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that deal?
I still feel like it was a good deal. It wasn't a home run. Haven't lost any money. There were tenants in place. So from those aspects, I feel like it was good. As the loan gets paid off, then, we'll be able to increase our net income. But it was only a few $100s a month after, paying the mortgage, insurance, and taxes.
Yeah.
It's gone up in equity, which is always a plus.
I feel like your education in college helps you do business in a good way. That's like the most.
Agree more.
Yeah, because I mean, my degree's in finance, went to the same college, and so I know my wife's degree's in marketing. So you guys literally I know what classes she's taken, and so I know that you've taken multiple finance classes, multiple accounting classes, of course your marketing classes, and so you understand the dynamics of like an income statement, a balance sheet, all those different kind of things, which is really cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, that definitely helped me out. College made me aware of those documents. I mean, those things you need in order to operate efficiently.
Who has been your most important mentor throughout all of this?
Oh, that's my pops, hands down. Yeah, my dad.
I knew the answer to that question before I asked you.
That's funny.
But I think that's dope because, I mean, you've been able to do a lot of really cool things and have a really good trajectory. And I think it proves my theory about why fathers matter, because you could have been derailed a few times, but you stayed focused and you got to the next goal. And then something ended and you stayed focused and you got to another goal. Whereas some people, if it didn't go as planned post high school, now they quit. If it didn't go as a plan post college, now they quit. But you always had somebody there to push you through the difficult times, not to prevent the difficult times from happening, because I don't think you can do that, but to have somebody who's there pushing you, supporting you, whatever that might look like to get to the next level is huge. That's dope. And then also making sure that you are productive, because I mean, it's very easy to do nothing. It's
Yep, it
difficult
is.
to even, I mean, you said you came back and you got a job as a loan officer. Like some people, they might not have even done that.
True. Yeah, that's true.
That's dope.
It's absolutely true,
Um,
man.
what is the most important personality trait that you have that's allowed you to kind of get to like certain levels in life?
Man, you got good questions. Um, I'm gonna have to say my openness, my openness for new information. I'm pretty relentless, but I'm gonna have to go with that one first because you can be relentless in the wrong direction. For me, I had to unlearn a lot first. A lot of things that I thought I knew or that were taught to me or just passed down that you just take as right just because of maybe the person delivering it to you, someone you trust. So for those reasons, I feel like for me, what really propelled me to my next stages in life was opening myself up to new information and just being objective towards it, right? Really finding out if it's the truth and then diving into it and not just having a stone wall because it contradicts what I've been taught my whole life.
That's dope. That's dope. Man, good conversation. I
Yeah,
think we got
man.
a chance to talk about a lot. I'm trying to think if there's anything I can talk about like that's like a current event, just to kind of get your take on it. I would say, and I asked this whenever I get like somebody who's done what you've done on the show, I'm always curious about how seeing people like LeBron James or Michael Jordan or all these guys, Kobe Bryant, who are doing things in business, how that like maybe inspired you while you were in the process and to know that it's possible for you too.
Oh yeah, that's big. That's big. I've always respected and appreciated Kobe's mind on and off the floor. So, we were excited to see that next chapter of his life, like off the floor. So,
Yeah.
for me, it definitely. I mean, you can blow a fortune. There's a host of NBA players. I mean, Antoine Walker went through something like 32 million down to zero. So to see LeBron have that amount of money and access to money at that young of an age and navigate it correctly, to see the way Kobe's mind worked in regards to investments and things like that definitely shaped how I wanted to be because there's a life after ball and there's a lot that you can give and a lot of new information to learn as well. So for me, that was that those guys, seeing them do things like that definitely gave me the mindset, how I wanted to operate.
Do you see that in the other players that you might have connected with? Are they thinking along those lines too? Like, oh, what can I do? What can I build? What can I buy type deal?
More players than not, in my opinion. Yeah, I've seen more players than not. They're always kind of thinking that way. Few of them take a little bit longer, but for the most part, especially being overseas, it's obvious that it's temporary. So a lot of guys are brainstorming and networking, trying to find other ways to be creative and create income streams.
I like it because we're kind of going through a moment where it seems like business and sports are connected. Where if you play pro sports, you're supposed to be doing something like that
Yeah.
because we're seeing so many of them do it, but have massive success doing it. So LeBron and Michael Jordan and almost anybody, they make more money in business than Nas and
Mm,
Kanye. They make more money in business than they do off of their skill,
yeah.
which is crazy. The skill gets you the bread, and then the business gets you wealthy, like the big bucks. Where I'll never
Right.
forget. I mean, Nas has done way more money off of his investments than he ever made selling records, and he had a lot of money off of selling records. Or
Yeah.
Kobe through the body armor deal alone made more money than his entire career,
Yeah.
dominating the league at one point in time. Like when you look at it that way, it's amazing. But I like having this conversation with you because I talked to another brother, and I'm starting to realize that these days business and sports are the same thing. Especially with the ability to make money off of your brand, the ability of these guys who are starting their own podcast, taking their own voice to the messages and to the masses without having to go through, hopefully getting on somebody's show or hopefully getting a spot on somebody's panel. Like, no, I got my own panel now. We out here.
Right.
We on YouTube. We got a bunch of followers while doing it. So it's cool to see. It really is cool to see. And I think what's really cool about it is it allows people like myself to connect with people like you guys, because I just do business. I'm not a baller. I'm just a golfer. But I connect with a lot of brothers like you on the golf course too.
That's right.
So really cool things happening, man. I'm gonna ask my wrap-up questions. And the first one is, what is your favorite business or investing book?
Favorite business or investing book? I have two actually. One was let me grab it real quick. It's about flipping notes. Actually, I don't need to grab it, but yeah, it was about flipping notes. So before I even learned about flipping property, I read about just flipping notes, and kind of essentially led me into wholesaling. Another one is called Outliers, and I don't know if that's really going to be, I don't know, would you classify that as a business or investing book? I just think that
I think it's a book for business people. So
yeah,
it's
that's
not necessarily a business book, but it helps you if you're in business.
Definitely. Yeah. And
I
it definitely
knew when you
helped
said
me.
10,000 hours that you were a reader of that book, which is
Yeah.
dope. What kind of podcast do you listen to?
Self-development, anything finance related, pretty much. I like to hear different perspectives on, the financial markets right now. A lot of things in regards to relationship building, I want to prepare myself to be a better father and husband when I get to those places. I don't have kids. I'm not married yet. And then anything in relation to the mind, anything that I can find in relation to the mind. So I read a book called The Mind, actually, that got me thinking about that. And then obviously tons of sports related podcasts too.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years from now, I see myself more so, my activity is going to be more so delegated towards auditing my passive income streams and scaling them, as opposed to actively working, right? So the best way I can put it is not trading my hours for dollars.
I like it. Which leads me to my next question, which is, what does wealth mean to you?
Yeah, I mean,
pretty much
essentially the same answer. But I think true wealth, a step further, would be able to position my loved ones and teach others how to get in that place too. Because I don't want to be by myself chilling.
Right. 100%. 100%. They just got to grasp the information. Yeah. Some folks don't want information. They want a check.
Yep.
But like the check follows the information. Let me give you the information. If you don't got the information, you get a check. You can be in the same position in 6 months. Crazy stuff. But I know it can happen. And I think a part of that looks like maybe creating certain sources of incomes for like the broader scale. Mm-hmm. So it's like if you can create that much passive income, now you have an income source that you can give somebody, whatever that might look like, or put them in position to run, as opposed to just like either giving them a check. It's difference between giving somebody like cash flow versus cash. I'd rather give you cash flow because that's sustainable, whereas cash is fleeting. That's really cool. I never thought about that. My last question is, what sets apart successful individuals from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
A few different things. You have to truly believe in your vision. You have to have a vision first, and you have to truly believe in that and willing to work to get the results that you want. And the other thing for me is goal setting. It keeps me motivated. It gives me a target to reach. It helps me know, gives me checkpoints on life. Like, am I working? Am I spending my time efficiently? So I feel like goal setting is key.
Dope. Man, thanks for coming on the show. I learned a lot about you. The guests are going to learn a lot about you. You probably going to get some followers and some DMs, folks hitting
Beautiful,
you up.
man. My man, I appreciate you having me on.
Where can they find you? Where can they follow you? And where can they support anything that you have going on?
I would say easiest ways to hit my social media. My Instagram page is LT Deuce. Building that page up right now, so there'll be a lot of content to follow. And then obviously you can connect with me. I'll have my link tree up on there, and best way to connect, definitely LTDUECE.
Dope. You're number 2?
Yes, sir. I'm the second.
Oh, but what jersey number did you wear?
Oh, jersey. It's mostly been number 3 throughout almost my whole life. Yeah.
Awesome. Dope conversation, man. I'm getting better at interviewing athletes. My first conversation, man. I didn't get a chance to kind of dig into the details, but I'm getting better at this. I've been doing real estate interviews for so long, but I kind of wanted to get inside the mind of some brothers who have done things at a high level and see what we can learn, and also give you guys some exposure in that opportunity to grow your platform too. So great call. If I can help you do anything in any way, definitely hit me up. Whatever that might look like, I'm definitely here for it, to return the favor for you providing value to the audience. So yeah, you guys, I'll have all this information inside the show notes. Check that out. Also, don't sleep on the options course. Don't sleep on the Freedom Pack. Black Friday is coming. And I'm also going to be launching a brand new options course. It's going to be brand new, top to bottom, professionally recorded. It's going to be fire. So get ready for that to drop. It'll be coming sooner rather than later. So I'm looking forward to bringing that to you guys. I might have the pre-sale available very soon. I might have the pre-sale available today because Andre Hatchett would tell me to get it up there today. So the pre-sale will be today for the brand new, fully revamped options course. And that's going to be dropping very, very soon. Make sure you click the link, click like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, because we're doing these live. So just like we're talking here, it's on YouTube as well. I did it for a few reasons. So I got to upload it to YouTube because that's hard and time consuming. I'd rather just stream it live so then it's there for you guys. You watch it later and whatnot. But great conversation. I know you guys got a ton of value, and we got some more lined up for you. So check the one that we did before. We got some other ones that are going to be lined up, and just continue to bring this game. Charles Oglesby, top millionaire, and we out.
Appreciate you.
Let me hit these buttons.